It's from Tom Haynes-Doran, representing Streets for People, Levenshulme. And the question is, do you believe that in order to tackle the climate emergency and social inequalities, we need to considerably reduce car use in Levenshulme and replace shorter trips with walking and cycling? If so, please describe what you will do to ensure Manchester City Council provides the infrastructure required to make that happen. I'm going to ask Zahid if he'd like to respond first on that one, please.
Well, thank you very much for the question. It's a very big question. The environment is a key problem for the whole world. We only have one planet, and I say to many people that it's not really about saving the planet; it's about saving humanity. You know, the world has gone through great upheavals in the past, where entire world has been extinct, and it's been reborn. And I think the planet will go on without us. The question is whether we're going to be there. And I think right now we're not in the right place. What are we going to do as a city? What can we do? What is the infrastructure that will get people moving, being more active, and to improve the environment? Look, Manchester signed up to, has agreed the climate emergency. We've got a target to be carbon neutral by 2038. It's a very, very hard target to meet, but it's one that I think we're on target to meet. This is about social change. This is about putting things in action. For instance, our fleet of refuse trucks have been now replaced. I think more than half are now entirely electric. These are the kind of things that we are doing in order to make themselves more economically sustainable. We have in Levenshulme, as you know, the low traffic neighborhood that we're trying to implement, and we're going through a trial at the moment. These are the kind of things that we're trying to do to make the city safer, and to acknowledge that, you know, we're on a path to somewhere else. But this solution is very, very difficult because we need people to be using more public transport. We need people to be using less cars and so on. But the reality is the economic reality. We already know people are in poverty. We know that they need to earn their living. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that we can get to that point by providing the resources. And I think people don't always understand that we've gone through massive cuts. I think in Manchester, over £400 million of cuts of the last 10 years. It's absolutely massive. That if we want to eradicate, one, we've got to do things on a personal level. And I think we all learned in Manchester to recycle our rubbish. I mean, our kids will tell us if we're putting things in the wrong container. And this is brilliant because we're learning and educating ourselves. But I myself am involved in ecological projects. And the reality is that it's about you making your personal changes. So you're changing your light bulbs and things like that. But it's also about thinking long and hard about the future. And that if you can get to work in a different way, and it's not always possible for people. And people have got to realize you may have several kids in different schools. How are you going to get there? And the way forward, I think, is about getting walking groups. It's about getting community projects where people are active and they can see others of their peer groups actually doing the same, those sorts of things. So the answer is not a simple one. I think there's things that the council is doing and will do more of, but this is also about social change and championing it. And this is not about pointing fingers and saying you're doing not as much as I am and so on. This is about bringing people together and saying, look, this is the one planet we have. If you really, really want to save it, let's do something together to do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Zahid. Jeremy, would you like to give us your views, please?
Thank you. To answer the first part of the question, which was Tom's asking, do you believe that in the reduction of car use and replacing that with walking and cycling, then that's a very easy yes. that's a bit of a gift, Tom. It's really important to actually, particularly with an aging population as well, to help people be more active, to reduce car use, to make it easier to walk and cycle around. And what there's Zahid made reference to a low traffic neighbourhood. It's a, I mean, I think it's actually an active neighbourhood in Levenshulme and Burnage across, which has been running for as a council scheme for the last 2 years. And the priorities of that scheme and the aims of it to make walking and cycling easier and safer across Levenshulme and Burnage are wonderful. It's a great opportunity. It's funded by the Mayor's Challenge Fund, Greater Manchester Mayor, that is, and it's entirely a council project, but it should be about the community. It should be about local knowledge, what works, what's effective. That's what we were promised, and unfortunately that's not what's been delivered by the council so far, after 2 years and several £100,000 spent. So we've now ended up with a partial scheme which doesn't satisfy anybody. It doesn't satisfy people who want more planters. It doesn't satisfy people who don't think that's the right approach to take. But I think the solution to this is actually to do what was originally promised, and actually listen to the community, listen to people in the community, and genuinely respond to their local knowledge and their understanding of the situation. In terms of the second part as well that Tom had mentioned, the infrastructure to make that happen, well, there are a whole host of ways to make it easier to walk and cycle around. I mean, one of the priorities would be to put crossings on our busier roads. And there's other groups that have been campaigning for years in Levenshulme, such as the Acorn group more recently, but residents across the area, to put crossings on Matthews Lane, but equally Broome Lane, Matthews Lane. Albert Road is congested, Slade Lane. These are all roads that are very busy. It needs to, if you're going to make it easier for people to walk and cycle around, actually put the infrastructure in, such as new crossings, coordinate the lights at the Albert Road, at the top of Albert Road, which don't synchronize with the ones on the A6, to make it easier to get about and easier to cross, repair the pavements, consider some other measures. There's lots of infrastructure changes that could be really positive that people have suggested, and that the council needs to listen to people and move away from this top-down approach.
Thanks, Jeremy.